the first thing that you do is prepare a slip knot. It goes on this outside number 1 peg. Then you take the yarn down and around the first and second peg on this side. And then the yarn gets pulled across to the second peg down, and then hold it up here. Now what you need to do is take your crochet hook, go over the first line, under the second line. Grab the working yarn, pull it down, and put it over the third pin. The next thing you do, and that makes your first little weave. Then you take this working yarn and you pull it across. It's easier if you have the crochet hook dragging it, and you're going to put it on the third peg. Be careful not to move that up. Once it's on the third peg, again you want to take the crochet hook over, under, and then over, and then pull that working yarn down to the fourth peg. Again, pull the yarn out this way, grab it, pull it over to the other side, put it on the fourth peg down. It should go straight up from there. Again, you're starting over, under, over, under. Grab the working yarn, pull it down, stick it on the next peg. This will continue your weaving of each side as you go. Pull the working yarn back over to this side, stick it on the next peg down, straight up from there, go over, under, over, under, over, grab the working yarn, pull it through, put it on the next empty peg. Pull this forward, over to the other side. You want to make sure on the large triangle that you have lots of working yarn pulled out so that it's ready to be passed back and forth. Again, grab this, stick it on the next empty peg, go straight up from there, over, under, over, under, over, under. Grab the working yarn, put it on the next empty peg, and then bring this across. Next empty peg. Same thing. And you can see we've got a woven area here, and we've got a woven area here. So each time you do one side, you're also doing the other because you're pulling that working yarn back across, so it's weaving both sides at the same time. So you'll continue in from these corners and going down as you go. So your very last line of yarn will be straight down the middle here. Okay, let's take a close-up look of this corner. I've got the working yarn over on the right side, so I'm going to drag it over here to the left. I'm going to put it on this next empty peg down here, making sure the yarn line goes straight up here. Then I'm going to put the crochet hook over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, and then pull it down. If you're unsure which way to start with, you always go over for one, but you can look at what's next to it and tell you want to go the opposite direction that's there. So right now you can see that the one I just added, both lines are both going the same direction here. They're both under, they're both over. That's because this will be pulled across to the other side. So that forms the weave on that side. So let me pull this across. And I'll weave this side and pull this back across so you can see one more time. Okay, again, the working yarn's on the left, pulling it over to the right hand side, going to the next empty peg down, straight up from there, over the top of this next one, over, under, all the way. If you get two that get too bunched up here, just move them apart. And then pull the working yarn down. If your yarn splits, just keep working with it and get it down. Now, this is where you take your little comb or the end of your crochet hook and kind of push stuff over as you go. And that forms your next line. And you just keep working back and forth like that, gaining one peg on top, one peg down here on each side as you go. Now, when it gets so that there is a wider area that's more uncomfortable to get all of it with your crochet hook, you can start anywhere in the middle. Again, just look at what's beside it and do the opposite. And you can pull it partially through. Okay, we're getting really close to the center here. So as you keep getting closer and closer, you will need to take your little comb and use it to pull your yarn across where it's supposed to be. Alright, so now as we get in closer to, you'll also have to be going in smaller increments to weave in. So just pick a spot and then thread your crochet hook through. Grab your working yarn, pull it through, and then I usually kind of let it pull through a little bit, and then pick another spot. Start your weaving. Pull that slack through. Nope, lost it here. Weave it through again. Pull some more slack down here. And just keep working your way down as you go. Just make sure you don't miss any either. And then hook the bottom when you get there. Pull some of the extra slack out. And then move it to the next one. Now you'll see how close these come in. So you'll start over here and comb that over. And then comb this over and pull the slack out as you go. We've included a couple different sizes of crochet hooks, so use whichever one works the best for you. Always better to go bigger, I think, to make sure that you can carry the yarn down where it's supposed to go. Sometimes I kind of twist the crochet hook as I'm pulling back through too. It makes it go a little bit smoother sometimes. And you want to make sure you don't split your yarn. This yarn's being a little fussy on me, but it's coming out really pretty. And then usually I kind of leave this bottom here and then just do these last few on each one because it gets really tight down here at the bottom as you're getting close to the end. And you can see this one ended up on the wrong peg here. There we go. And pull that over and pull the slack out. And again, comb it over to where it's supposed to be. In line, comb this one over. And then continue, and we're almost done here, so I'll go ahead and finish this out. And I can see I made a little bit of a mistake here, so I'm just going to pull that back out. So if you found that you woven something the wrong way, you can just start over. Just go small increments and it'll work out really easy for you. Got a little too much slack, so I'm going to pull some back out. You can see I'm going in smaller increments as I get closer to the bottom. Okay. Again, pull the slack out, hook that peg, hook the peg next to it, and you'll see I've got one at the bottom here and I've got one at the top in the center. So just dropped my comb, but you'll comb this over here, and again you can use the crochet hook to do this too. Okay, so now what you need to do at this point, there's two things you can do. One is you can measure the yarn down here, leaving a tail, and then cut it off, because you'll be pulling that all the way through, or you can work it back through. I find it's a little easier to cut it off and then pull it through, because you don't have that double width of yarn for this last one. So I'm gonna pause here and go grab some scissors. Okay, so as I said before, you're gonna measure down here, leave a little bit of an extra tail, cut your working yarn, and then we're going to do this last strand. So you can see on either side here that this one of course matches that one, because that's what we've done all along here. So this last strip will go right in between those two and be the opposite of what's on either side. And it's going to be tight, so take it in just 4 or 5 strand increments here and pull it all the way through. Again, go back to the middle and then just pull it all the way through. Just keep working down like that. What's really neat about color changing yarn on this weaving is that it makes such a unique patterning, because you're working on both sides at the same time. So it really does some amazing things with this yarn. And almost down to the bottom here. And pull it all the way through. Now this bottom peg down here you don't need to do anything with. It's just kind of a placeholder to round everything out. So you can see everything is filled in there, and you may want to go back with your comb and kind of straighten any places where the weave might be more open than others, particularly up here at the top, because you tend to pull this top strand down. So I like to kind of start there and pull this up so that top edge doesn't end up being loopy, and then just kind of work your way down and push these up a little bit. You'll find it's mostly towards the middle here where you need to kind of adjust as you go. And of course it'll relax once it gets off the loom too. So you just want to work with the spots where you have Maybe kind of pulled it a little bit funny as you were weaving it through, and things might be a little bunched up. I think that looks pretty good. The main thing, like I said, to check is this top edge to make sure you're kind of pushed up against it. Otherwise, this edge can kind of come out a little bit loopy on you. So now at this point, you need to make a decision whether you're going to leave this as a triangle and seam it in with other things, or whether you're going to go ahead and make this into a square. If you choose to make this into a square, what you'll do is you'll push everything down on the nails, and then you will actually start another weave right over the top of it. So you will ignore what's on here completely, and you will just weave another layer. And then afterwards you will take this top angle here, and you will crochet those two edges together to make a square. And we'll show that in another video. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy weaving on your Kiss Loom weaving.